Hey there, everybody. This is Scott Janron. This is just the intro video to 7 card stud high. So we'll just get started here. The basics, essentially, 7 card stud high is a variation of 5 card draw high poker. The goal of the game is to make the best 5 card poker hand you can. So it'd be exactly the same as Texas Hold'em, essentially, in terms of the way that hands are scored or graded. Each player will receive 7 cards to themselves in this order. You'll get 2 face down and 1 face up all together. Those are all 3 dealt together. Then 3 face up that are dealt individually, and then a final card face down. So each player, if they stay in for the entire duration of the hand, will be dealt 7 cards. In total, there are 5 rounds of betting. 1 round after initial 3 card deal, which is the 2 face down, 1 face up, and rounds following each of the next 4 cards dealt. So the next 3 cards would be dealt face up, after each of which there'll be a round of betting, and the final cards dealt face down. There'll be another round of betting. It's played in limit form, and stud games, 7 card stud high, it's played at an 8-person maximum table. 7 card stud is played using a bring in and ante structure. Everyone antes a fixed amount, and the lowest face up card after the 3 card deal will be forced to bet. In order to continue in the hand, a player must call or raise the bring in amount. So if the bring in amount were $1 and you want to stay in the hand, you have to call $1. And depending on the stakes, the bring in were $1 would technically be a $3, $6 table. So if you wanted to raise it, you could raise it to $3, if I'm not mistaken. But the main thing to keep in mind is that everyone's going to be dealt 3 cards at once to start the hand. 2 down, 1 up. In terms of 2 face down, 1 face up. The lowest face up card of the table will be forced to put money in. And that's after everyone's already anteed. Players may fold at any point during the hand, but in order to get to showdown, they must remain in the hand until all 7 cards are dealt out. So, a lot of hands will be finished on the 4th or 5th card dealt just because you or whomever's in the pot will essentially just their hand will become bad enough in their own mind that they just decide to fold, or you can see that someone's face-up cards are improving so much relative to what you're holding that it's not worth you staying in any longer. But if you want to get all the way to showdown, there will be 7 total cards dealt to you individually and to your opponents who are also at showdown. So for beginners, these aren't essentially the best poker hands, but these are, from a basic standpoint, the best poker hands. But these are just all the kinds of hands that you can make in poker. So, in the lower right-hand corner, you have high card ace, which would be beaten by 1 pair. You see the pair of 10s there. 1 pair would be beaten by 2 pair. You see the kings and 2s. 3 of a kind would beat 2 pair. Straight would beat 3 of a kind. Straight would be 5 consecutive cards. Flush would beat a straight and anything below it. Flush would be 5 cards of the same suit. Full house, which would be 3 of a kind and a pair, beats a flush. It's a very good hand. 4 of a kind would beat a full house. Straight flush, which is 5 consecutive cards, all of the same suit, beat 4 of a kind. And then a royal flush beats a straight flush. And of course, the ones on the left side are a lot less likely, a lot more difficult to get. You're not going to get anything in that top left side hardly ever in this game. You may get a full house occasionally. 4 of a kind you'll get, very, 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 very infrequently. And the others, those are kind of like once in a lifetime type of hands. Or, if you play a lot, once every few months or something. So, these are, there's no specific list of, the best 3 card starting hands in stud high, but just essentially, any 3 of a kind rolled up is the strongest starting hand in 7 card stud. A 3 of a kind will have better than a 4-to-1 edge over any pair. So on that initial deal, if I were dealt 3 3s and you were dealt 2 aces with a king, I would have an 85% chance of winning. And, again, getting dealt 3 of a kind is very, very difficult. So just know that when you do get dealt 3 of a kind, you're in great shape. There's just hardly anything someone can get to beat you. Of course, the aces could get a third ace and outdraw you, but again, there's only 2 aces remaining in the deck, so and you would have a 3 showing. So basically, that's going to be a situation where you're going to be taking the guy's money with the ace king just about every time. The next strongest type of hand is a pair, with aces being the strongest and deuces being the weakest. So, there are some caveats, I guess, to that, but, generally, if you have like a pair of, obviously a pair of aces or a pair of kings, it's a very strong hand. But, depending on what you're up against, that will pretty much dictate how strong your hand actually is. So, if you had like a pair of 4s, with like a 7, and your opponent had, 10, 7, 8, you wouldn't really be that much of a favorite over his hand. If you were going to, see all 7 cards, you wouldn't be that much of a favorite. But, a pair generally, is a little bit stronger than 3 random cards. If all of the cards are over the pair, 3 over cards, may hold an edge, if, a small edge, but, you're not going to find yourself wanting to play really small pairs very often anyways. So, just kind of focus on the bigger ones and, just go from there. The next strongest type of hand is 3 suited cards that are all consecutive. For example, 10 of spades, 9 of spades, 8 of spades. These kinds of hands are strong mainly because they have the ability to make straights and flushes.